Good evening, good evening, good evening. What's going on, fellow Trubies? It is I, the one and only Shown Up the King, and I'm here to bring you the True Blood Season 5, Episode 11 review titled Sunset. I swear this show is just turning up that dial every single week, and I'm holding on for dear life because I do not want to fall off before the season finale next week. It is going to be epic. There is so much to talk about tonight, so I'm going to jump into this review. I hope you guys are ready. Let's get into it. Alright, so Vampageddon, that's what I'm going to start calling this, has begun, and there is casualties all over. I mean, people are getting turned left and right. Vampires are feeding on humans. I mean, the government is clearly, having their contingency plans going. It's just all out chaos. The authority right now, what's going on with the authority, Bill is still going crazy. He's still on his whole Lilith kick. Eric is still apparently under his own faculties, and to the look of it, it also looked like his sister is back under her faculties as well. Now, what I think ended up happening is last week we saw her and Eric under the control of Lilith, and they witnessed their maker get his head ripped off, essentially. And I think the shock of that brought them both out of the whole Lilith trance. And I think their love for Godric is what was able to them to come back to their senses, which is great. Because again, it looks like this whole Lilith thing is not all smiles and rainbows and puppy dog tails as these vampires want you to believe. We found out later on that, there's something called a nest where vampires feed on each other for such a long time. It creates this crazy manic environment, and I think adding this on, with Lilith's blood is amplifying that like times 50. So again, I'm gonna get into my thoughts on that a little bit later, but let's just kind of like steer around a little bit and just get closer to this review. So again, Eric and his sister, they end up making up. They actually end up having sex again, and they're trying to devise a way to get out of the authority so they can escape. And luck would have it, the commander, I guess he is the direct contact with Roman, who is already, we all know, is already dead. He comes to the authority to find out exactly what the hell is going on, because again, with the True Blood factories blowing up and just all out chaos going on, they need to find out what the hell is going on. So he shows up like a boss in his little, cars, and his troops all with him. And, he comes in declaring all types of shit. Again, this actually got me excited because, we always hearing about how vampires are such badasses. But again, you've never seen this coming from like a human side. So, he comes in there and he's looking for Roman, and Bill finally tells him, look, this dude was not with the program. So we had to get him up out of here. So the commander is pretty much like, all right, look, I know you guys are lying to me. Number one, I know you guys are the one that blew up the True Blood factories. I know that Russell Edgington is still alive because we have a video of him slaughtering all these college students with Steve Newland at this college fraternity. And I have a copy right here, and then I'm not the only one with a copy. So if something happens to me, these things will go viral, and every American and every human will hunt you guys down. Now, again, in most terms, it doesn't seem like it seems like it was an empty threat. But then what he says next is such a badass statement that the vampires actually do get a little shook. He's like, look, we have all types of weapons. You don't think we were prepared for this? You don't think we have all types of weapons that you guys have never even heard of or seen? He was like, you just got to remember, we own the daylight. So, he was just like, he said it with such conviction and confidence. I actually I had chills. I was like, wow, this guy can really do something. So, he was like, yeah, that's what I thought. Anybody got something to say? No one said anything. So he's walking away like a boss. And then, of course, Eric had to spoil the fun. Eric pretty much walks up to him and breaks his neck. Dude falls to the ground. And we're just like, okay, so we'll see what happens. So essentially, again, we're thinking that Eric is going on some sort of crazy binge again. No. He had a deeper point to what he was doing. He's trying to get away. So what he does is he tells Bill and the rest of everybody, I'm going to go on a glamoring spree. I'm going to fix this and blah, blah, blah. And then Nora chimes in, and she's like, oh, I can help him. I have people in the State Department who are going to take care of this. So the both of them leave. But, of course, Bill, being suspicious, says, why don't you take some security detail with you? So they do that, and they're going off, and they're driving. And I forget what they're listening to on the radio. I think it was talk radio. And Eric decides to say, hey, can I change the channel? So he reaches up and pulls the hearts out of both of the security detail and kills them instantly. And then the biggest WTF moment of the episode happens. They fly away. Like, they both just look up in the sky and they fly the fuck away. I'm like, what? Since when can they fly? I'm like, you got helicopters? I'm like, you can fly? I'm like, if I was a vampire and I could fly, I would not be taking no goddamn helicopter. I'm just saying. It was awesome. It was epic. Eric for the win, but I'm like, I had no idea they could fly. So, you know, they fly off into the, you know, like Superman or whatever. And, you know, that's kind of how their whole storyline ended for this episode. So, now we'll actually move on and talk about, very briefly, this whole Warlow situation. Again, I didn't really touch on it much last week because, again, the storyline is starting to become clear, but at the same time, it's still foggy. Apparently, Sookie's great-great-great-great-great-grandfather or grand something sold her to Warlow. Why, we don't know. And to what purpose, we don't know. Again, I said this in my comment section last week. To me, it seems like Warlow is going to use her for some sort of fairy slave or maybe a wife or something to that effect. We don't know yet. They have not given us enough information to really go on. Again, Warlow can't be that big of a threat because he's only 300 years old. Russell Edgerton right now is still the oldest vampire that we've known. So I seriously doubt this Warlow. Again, I could be wrong. Maybe he's got some sort of special powers because he was able to, you know, become intangible and show up in Sookie's house. So that's kind of creepy, you know. Also, speaking of Sookie, there's a scene where she's actually like in the fairy place and she's safe. And she's there with Jason, and Jason actually decides that he's going to go on patrol and Sookie's going to stay there because she's safe. And they're trying to figure out a plan on what the hell they're going to do. So we jump back to the authority, and Jessica is talking to Bill, trying to talk some sense into him. And when she realizes that it's not working, she decides to have an ingenious idea of saying, hey, why don't I just go out and go, you know, turn Jason? So, of course, you know, Bill, being Bill, he's not stupid enough to fall for that, of course. So he's like, you know what, I'm going to make you turn Jason. And on top of that, I'm going to give you 2 security details so that you can go take care of this. So now we're on the second row of security details to go follow somebody somewhere to go do something. So Bill is on a roll. So they find Jason. Jason finds them, I should say. And a conversation ensues. And she's like, you know, it's so funny to hear Jessica say, you trust me? We've been around each other. And Jason was like, no, I don't really trust you. And, you know, we don't always do the right thing. I mean, we screwed. We did this. I just thought their exchanges were actually so funny. And what ends up happening with them is Jessica finally decides to bite Jason for pressure from one of the other guys, and she bites down on him. And the next scene we see them, they're getting buried, and he's supposedly dead, lying there and ready to turn. Then Jessica says now he turns up, and apparently he does have vampire bullets, shoots the 2 deputies in the heart, they explode. So that's we're at the death count, about 4 vampires right now, and it is awesome. So Jason for the win with the pistol shot. Jason is becoming a badass this season, and I'm loving it. I'm just glad to see him not just trying to screw everything there with 2 breasts and some legs. So this is, you know, for Jason, thumbs up, buddy. Alcide and his dad are building a werewolf fence for all the newborn vamps that are hanging around. His dad is still a deadbeat. You know, Alcide is still feeling bad about the whole other werewolf things. But I know they're feeling a little bad right now because they essentially don't have any will of their own anymore. So that whole thing is all messed up. And what ends up happening with them is Alcide goes out to help a neighbor who's getting attacked by all these werewolves. And Alcide actually handles himself pretty good. And honestly, I think this is probably one of the few times when I've actually seen a werewolf take down a vamp. Now, granted, this is like a newborn vamp, but it was still kind of badass. You know, he shot him with a shotgun, and then the dad comes in with the Katniss arrow bow and shoots the other one and then kills him. So that was kind of cool. So I'm just like, it's like everybody's getting their moment now. We're getting close to the end of the season, and it's like, wow. Again, we go back to Andy and Terry. They're in the Morlotts, and you know they're having lunch, I believe, and they're just talking. You know, it's just good to see Terry and his girl having a good time. Because again, you know him with his whole smoke monster and all that whole situation that was going on. It's just good to see that something good can happen on this show. So thumbs up for that. You know, Andy on the other hand, now he has a baby mama that's a fairy, and he's gonna have to deal with that. And she's a little pissed because he promised to take care of her, and she gave him her ET glow. She's like, look, I gave you my ET glow. You're supposed to be phoning home. And he didn't do it. So we'll see where that goes. He said she's going to bring shame and bad luck to the fairies. Now, again, I guess that can apply to what we saw later on. Now, before I continue, we go to Fantasia and Tara. And before I continue, Tara this season has been a roller coaster for me. You know, I was not happy to see her get turned. You know, but as the season progressed and how she became a badass, you know, I can totally see her being a vampire now. So again, I guess I have to, you know, eat that humble pie that I was really, really on Tara this season. But her character turns out to be pretty good. Unfortunately, for Tara, yeah, one of the authority members apparently really did send that sheriff down there to take over. And apparently when Tara chopped that head off, the authority lady, I can't remember her name, please don't bash me about it. There's too many things going on. So the authority chick, you know, she knew immediately that one of her sires had died. So of course she's going down there to, you know, figure out what's going on. And, you know, she grabs Tara, slams her head down, and is like, did you kill him? And, you know, it's just like Tara's maker decides to take the blame. And that shocked me because I'm just like, now this is the thing. I don't know if she did that to try to get inside the authority so she could see Eric, because at the same time, I don't think Jessica told her that, you know, Eric was still there. So maybe she took the blame so that she can go to the authority, and maybe she can possibly see Eric and figure out what the hell is going on. Who knows? But, you know, she took the blame. Tara looked like she was clearly distraught to see her quote-unquote mother take the blame for her and, you know, get carried away and get arrested. So that whole thing happened, and it was crazy. Like I said, y'all, it was a lot that happened. But let's get to the nitty-gritty. Apparently, I'm going to start with the whole Lilith thing. Apparently, Lilith is not as merciful as we once thought. Apparently, she's playing everybody against each other. And this is kind of how I see it. It's like everyone who took the blood, Lilith is coming to them in separate situations, telling them that they are the one that are just going to be leading the group and that they need to drink the blood. And I think what's going on is that she's pushing everybody against each other and making them all think that they're the one so that they can kill each other. I think that's what she does. I think she drives you crazy and she turns you on each other and you kill each other. And I think that's exactly what's happening because, you know, another one of the members of the authority was already in the room. Because, again, we already saw that Lilith came to Bill twice this episode talking about drink my blood, drink it all. You're the one that's supposed to be leading this group. And so for him to go into that room where Lilith's blood is to see the other guy sitting there praying, Bill was like, I'm the one who was supposed to be here. Slices his head off. Again, this is like Vampire Death number like 4 or 5. I'm like, people are dropping like flies, and I love it. So anyway, you know, he dies, and Bill's like trying to get his hands together. And of course, Jessica comes back after getting caught. I swear, I love you, Jessica, but honey, you can't hide for shit. She can't hide to save her life. She must have never played hide and seek when she was little, because I mean, she was just standing right behind the door, like, oh my God, I hope she doesn't see me. What? So of course, Jessica gets brought back, and you know, Bill gives her a nice pimp hand of God, and she goes flying across the room. And basically, Bill is on this ego trip, and it ain't breaking at any given moment. So the last thing we get from the whole authority this episode is Lilith also coming to Salome, however you want to pronounce her name, and telling her the exact same thing, that the chosen one, and she's the one that's supposed to lead. So again, we find out again that this whole Ness mentality. I think that's exactly what's going on. This whole Ness and Lilith thing. I think she's basically just turning everybody on each other and hoping that they're going to kill each other. So is there a bigger goal behind that? We don't know yet. Because I guess her end game can't possibly be let's kill everybody. Again, I'm going to try to wrap this up now. One of the last things we get to see is Jason goes back out and he goes to track down the big bad vampire Russell Edgington, and he gets caught, of course, and brings him to where Sookie is, and the crazy oldest fairy goes out to try to take him out. And again, once she left the confines of that fairy place, I was like, oh my god, something's gonna happen. I just know it. And of course, something happens. She takes out Steve Rulin, which is an easy feat, and she starts doing this chanting, and she's gathering her energies, and she shoots at Russell Edgington, hits Jason, he goes flying, and then she tries again, and then Russell sweeps behind her, drains her in 10 seconds, and now he has fairy power, and he's a vampire, and I'm just like, what? I'm like, Russell Edgington is already 3,000 years old. Now he has the abilities of a fairy, and of course now that he's part fairy, the doorway that everyone was hiding in opens up, and he just goes dashing into it. So, season finale is going to be awesome. I cannot wait to share this with you guys. But again, it's time to let me know what you guys think about the episode. Of course, comment in the section below, rate the video if you like, and also subscribe to more of my videos. And just showing off the king. You guys have an awesome night.